Logically think about it, 0 can never give rise to 1. It's a mathematical, logical, rational impossibility. What you're saying is as good as magic. If you look at magic, a magician has a hat and a rabbit comes out.
Okay,
At least you have a rabbit and a hat that it comes out from.
I think I'm coming around to your point.
What scientists are saying is this, and this is the biggest magic trick here, that there was nothing, the absence of something, and something came to be. That is an absurd claim. So what we're saying is there is a point where everything began to exist. What caused it? I want to talk about.
I'm going to say that probably for me, the most logical explanation is a Big Bang.
But even the Big Bang, it's a point of, for example, if you reverse it, it comes to a single point of what caused that.
And I'm willing to accept that there was something before the Big Bang.
Like what?
Now that's what I wanted to ask you about.
Yes.
For me, I can't say that it's God.
But I'm not even talking about God. Look, I said again, I'm not talking about God.
I don't know what came before.
Okay, no problem.
I don't know.
No problem. But you have to accept that there was something that may have had to give rise to the Big Bang. The Big Bang cannot give rise to itself. So what we're saying now
What was that something?
Good. Now we're talking. Now what we're saying is that something has to be independent. It has to be self-sufficient and it has to be necessary. Why? Because if it's dependent, then it falls back into the category of the creation. Because it's dependent. So it requires something independent for it to give rise to
But
it.
you say this word creation, that implies of some kind of conscious human being type supreme aspect that could create that stuff consciously. It might have just flowed organically out of nothing.
No, it can't be.
Or out of something else.
No, it can't be. What did we say? It cannot come from nothing. It has to be something else. Now,
that something else may not have created it.
No
it may
problem.
have just...
That something else is either dependent and depends on something else, and then something else.
Yeah,
and
it
then
might just go back forever.
That's the problem now. You cannot have a dependent. What did I say my first premise was? You cannot have an infinite regression of dependent things. Because what will happen is, we will never be here if that carried on forever. And what created that thing, and that created that thing, and they'll go on forever.
I love to enjoy that mystery.
Let me tell you.
We don't have to say it's God.
No. But you know why? The thing is there, we are using our logic. If you go home and you see a plate smashed on the floor.
I can follow what you're saying. Let's move on beyond this, because I've already agreed with you that there was probably something that created
but something, let me tell you about that something.
But what was that something?
Okay, good. So what I'm trying to say is this, we have to be consistent, because sometimes certain atheists, not yourself, sometimes they're inconsistent. When they go home and see a phenomena, let's say for example a plate smashed on the floor, they don't go and say, I don't know what caused that. In the context, wow, there's possibilities. Earthquake, the cat tipped it over. The window was open, the wind blew it. Somebody done it. You come to rational conclusions. It must be one of these or some kind of a phenomena that caused it. You will never come and say, it's none of these and I don't know what happened.
No, there must be a reason.
Good. So what we're saying is let's use the same logic and rationality. That, what we say is that thing that gave rise to that has to be intelligent. It has to have a will, because if it gave rise to it, which you said, the Big Bang, there's something there we don't know what it is. Whatever that thing is, it has to have the power of will.
Why?
Because how could it give rise to the Big Bang?
Are you telling me that, say for example, there was a really stormy day and the wind blew a plate in your house onto the ground and it smashed?
Yeah.
Are you saying the wind was intelligent, conscious, had a will?
No, not at all. I never even said that. That's not even what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you
so why
is
does
that
it have to be the first thing that caused the universe?
Because what we
have
say
to be
is,
intelligent
what
and
we're
will?
saying is that the one who willed the wind to be created is the one. We're not giving it to the wind. You're giving the attributes of the God that we talk about to the wind.
Why does it have to be intelligent and have a will?
It has to, because let me tell you why. For example, if I show you a painting of somebody who's drawn a masterpiece of a bird, when we look at that, we don't see the painter, but we do know there was a painter. We do know that he had a will to do it. We know that he needed knowledge, and we know he required skills. So what we're doing is we are giving attributes based on the product that it's made.
Because that's a painting. I could just as easily say, look, I found, I don't know, let's say I found...
Example we can give.
No, there is a good example.
Give me one.
I could say, for example, that there was. Let's go back to the analogy of the wind. The wind knocks over the wind knocks over the vase full of flowers, and they smash on the ground.
Yes.
I see the smash. If I then could put two and two together and I say definitely it was the wind, I'm not going to say the wind was intelligent and had a will.
But I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you agree
so I could just use an analogy that's just as a contrary analogy to your one.
Not really, because what you're doing is you're giving the attributes to a wind. We say the wind is dependent, but what you've accepted is this: the wind blew. You're using something logical.
It's not will or conscious. It's a force of nature.
No. Okay, blind force of nature? Yeah. No, okay. What you're doing is now, you're deifying, like, you know, some people, you watch David Attenborough, Mother Nature. And I'm like,
metaphor,
Mother Nature? What the hell is Mother Nature?
It's a metaphor. No one's saying it seriously.
No, I know.
David Attenborough is a hardcore atheist.
What I'm trying to say is the following. The fact that you ascribe it to evolution or Mother Nature and random events taking place is a deity, because what you're doing is random. But let me tell you what, you're telling blind processes are coming together and causing things. For example, we have consciousness. An atom doesn't have consciousness. I have a will. An atom doesn't have a will. How does an atom give rise to a being like myself who has consciousness and a will to do something?
Forces of nature.
No, it doesn't have the properties. If I have an empty glass and I say, if we give it infinite amount of time, would I ever have a chocolate strawberry cake?
Well, if the right conditions emerged in nature, yes, you would.
If the properties to make a chocolate fudge cake is not in the cup, how does it give rise to it?
Well, I can't see that happening. Yeah.
That's my point. Time is irrelevant because the properties to make a strawberry cheesecake with extra strawberry, because I like strawberries, yeah, if it's not in the cup, it will not give rise to it. So how does atoms and energy that we have that are blind processes giving rise to conscious beings like us who have a will? It's an impossibility,
well,
and that's the reason why.
Of nature.
But
evolution is built on a dance between
accidents
of nature, mutations,
accidents of nature,
and also humans are now at the point where we're so intelligent we can consciously guide our own evolution.
But look at what you're saying. Accidental. You're saying blind processes having an accident.
Again, biologists don't know where life comes from. They're not claiming that they know.
No problem. But what do they know is that they do know is that the first cell is a very complex thing. Okay, can someone help her? You okay?
Yeah, we're fine.
See, that happened. That was an accident, right? No one forcefully willed that to happen.
No, really.
She fell off the bike because you can describe all the conditions that led to that.
That's not an accident.
You can say there was no intelligent will behind that. She's probably a decent cyclist, but it's slippery today. And this is what happens. Accidents happen.
That's not accident, because if you believe in science, if you look at the factors, if those factors didn't happen, she would not fall down. So what it is we don't believe, as an atheist science, if believe in science, you can't believe in accidents. Because chance and accidents are things that, for example, when I throw a dice, okay, what's the possibility for it to come in double sixes? There is no such thing as chances, because the element, once you know the condition of the weather and the way you throw it and the style he throws it at, you will have the exact same results. So this is called hard determinist.
I'm a hard determinist.
There you go. If you're a hard determinist, that's not accident.
Well,
you can't, because that there is if you knew the factors, that could be avoided. So the point I'm trying to say, if you're a hard determinist, you have to believe in a determiner.
No, why do I have to believe in a conscious will that's intelligent? Why?
What was your name, sorry?
Kyle.
Ali, I'm about
no, don't worry,
Kyle, if you are a hard determinist, you have to believe in a determiner. Because how could you believe in hard determinism that all of these things are not...
Yes, but it doesn't have to be an intelligent creator that we're giving human attributes
No, not human attributes. What we're saying is just because we use the same term doesn't mean it's the same thing. What we're saying is the following. When we go back and talk about the necessary being that's independent and self-sufficient, what we're saying is that when we gave the example of a painting, when we look at a painting, we never saw the painter, but we have to rationally, logically, as an atheist or a scientist or religious person, accept a couple of things.
The analogy of the painting does not fly.
The reason being,
let me tell you why. A painting is just a tiny part of reality.
Exactly.
You can't use a tiny, infinitesimally tiny part of reality to reason out into the entirety of this reality we live in.
But it does. If it works in a micro level, it works in a macro level.
That's just not true.
Why not? For example, if we look at a picture of a painting, we have to accept certain attributes of the painter. Number one, he exists.
He was a human though, not a creating God.
I don't mind. Look, no problem. What I'm saying is you have to follow this. Does he exist?
Are you saying reality is like a painting?
No.
Are you really saying our reality we live in is a painting?
No. I'm giving an analogy.
It's nothing like a painting.
I'm giving an analogy which you have no choice but to ascribe it to the creator. Let me tell you why. Do you accept the painter exists?
Yes, the painting exists.
Do you accept that he has a will?
Yes.
That he has to be conscious?
Yes.
He has to be knowledgeable?
Yes.
He has to have skills?
But that's a human being, not a God.
No problem. I'm fine with that.
How can you? That's almost blasphemous as a Muslim to draw an analogy from a man and to use that as a justification.
Not at all. I'm using logic, because what you're doing now is you deduce that attribute. What did you do? You gave the attribute by looking at a painter. You didn't see the painter. He exists. He has conscience. He has a will. He has knowledge. He has skills. Good. 1 second. Let's go to the bird that he drew? Let's go to the actual bird. Now the bird itself, there has to be, if the bird is there has to be a creator.
No, there doesn't.
Look at double standards.
Evolution.
Look, that's your God.
The bird came about by evolution.
Look, 1 second.
No, it's nothing like
one
God.
second. Even if it's
not a religious concept.
Even if it's evolution, it doesn't take away. You know what you've done now? You've gone back to the boiling point of the first cell. The first cell is a very complex mechanism. So therefore, What gave rise to the first cell?
Biologists don't know this. They're trying to find this out.
Okay, this is what I'm saying.
There's an investigation
and you know
into
what?
this topic
You know what?
as we're speaking.
Allah says in the Quran. Allah actually talks about this. Allah talks about the psychology. He says, and if you ask them who created the heavens, or did it come from nothing, or did they create it themselves? You know what they'll say? I don't know.
That's good.
That's not good.
It's good to accept when you don't have enough
no,
knowledge.
No. What that is, to me,
can I
it's
say
like,
something
it's like
quickly?
a cop-out.
It takes humility to accept when you're not sure, and then to continue the scientific investigation, rigorous scientific investigation. The sooner Muslims and Christians abandon their religious beliefs and adopt scientific ways of thinking.
You're religious.
No, I'm not
religious. Your God is evolution, and your religion is sciences. You are religion. Don't get it. Don't get it twisted. You know what I really don't like? I find it really bizarre.
Evolution is a scientific process. God is a religious concept.
No.
In fact, again, it's blasphemous as a Muslim to say
that.
No,
not at all. It's not.
To use the word God in the context of scientific inquiry, you're twisting a concept that's supposed to be very sacred to you.
No, God tells us that. Have you seen the one who takes his desires his own God? God tells us there are false deities. What you're
using God in two different ways.
No, not at all.
There's the way we use the word God when it's something that we just very value. I could say wine is my God or money is my God.
Exactly.
But that's a different. You're using the same word but in a different way of using it.
Of course, because Allah tells us to use it
Let's not mix up concepts.
But why is it that when we talk about a picture of a bird, exists, conscious, will, knowledge, skill, let's talk about the bird itself, evolution. One second, let me get this right. Evolution of blind processes.
Not blind processes.
It is a blind process.
You're very black and white.
One second.
You're saying it's either blind or it's intelligent.
No problem.
It's somewhere in the middle.
Prove it.
Evolution.
That's you telling me prove it and I got bananas.
No, do you want me to?
No, that's not. Prove to me.
I mean, I can give you my best. I've read some Charles Darwin. I can explain as far as I know how it works.
Charles Darwin believed in God. There was a book written about it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he was wrong about evolution.
No, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying to you, being in evolution doesn't take God out of the picture.
You can have wrong beliefs and still come up with good ideas.
You can be a scientist who believes in evolution and believes in God. It doesn't contradict each other.
Yeah, I've met plenty of scientists who are Muslim, Christian.
So therefore, it doesn't mean you don't believe in God.
What they're doing is, in most of their daily life, or let's say their work life, and let's say for example they're investing in atoms or planets or evolution, animals, birds. They're never, if they're good scientists, going to bring in religious concepts to that. When they're investigating, no, because it will be contrary to science.
No, but that's what I'm trying to say. Even when you go with science, the point is this: how are you?
They would keep their religious stuff for Sunday mass.
No, but you said, for example,
going to the synagogue or to the temple.
No problem, but
they wouldn't bring in their religious beliefs into the laboratory.
To me, science,
because then they get fired from their jobs.
To me, science is a religion.
They would get fired from their jobs.
No, I know, but to me, science is a religion. I see it as that.
It's absolutely contrary to religion.
It is, and your
evolution. It's the main force dismantling religion right now in this country.
No way. If that was the case, for example, for what you're telling me, show me as an atheist who believes in science that atoms have consciousness, or they don't have a will. They're in between. How do you prove that?
Look, atoms. I remember some chemistry from school. I hope you remember some as well. I prefer reading literature and philosophy. I'm not really scientifically trained person.
Same.
But I remember enough chemistry to look at how electrons work. How certain electrons, when there's a certain number of them, they need to pair with other atoms.
Why do they need to pair? Who told them to pair?
No one told them to pair.
So why do they
That's
pair?
the argument I'm making. No one told them to.
But
they're doing. Scientists are trying to understand why this happens. They don't know. The problem
so
with
it's the science of the gaps.
What religion does is it tries to fill in the gaps that we don't know.
No, not at all.
With fantasies, with mythologies,
with logic, with rationality.
What science does is it accepts. Look, right now we don't exactly know why the first atoms came into being and came together to create life. We don't know.
That's faith.
There's nothing wrong with saying we don't know.
No, that's
the opposite of faith.
No, it's faith.
What you're saying is I don't know.
No,
and that's fine.
No.
Look, I go throughout my life and I walk around the street and I go to my job.
Yeah.
I don't know for a fact everything that's going to happen around me. I accept that there are things I don't know.
Neither do I.
So why don't you apply that same humility to your religion?
No, it's not humility.
You don't.
It's not. It's absolute arrogance. It's arrogance. How is that humility to come and say a painting has someone that exists, designer is somebody who has a will, has consciousness, but when you apply the same thing to a bird that is full of color and pattern, evolution. That to me is arrogant.
As a Muslim, this is blasphemous to say this. Do you know why?
I don't know why I keep saying this, because as a Muslim,
you're using a human being and equating a human being's skill with a paintbrush with God's ability to create.
Not at all.
As a Muslim, that's quite blasphemous.
No, because Allah says in the Quran.
Brothers should be aware of this.
Well,
you shouldn't be using a human being as an analogy
Allah
for
says
God.
in the Quran.
Supposedly, God is supposed to be much more powerful than any
I'm a Muslim.
I know I'm speaking.
No.
Supposedly,
I'm a Muslim. I know my religion better than you. Nowhere does it say that pondering upon. Allah says in the Quran in Surah Imran verse 190. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and in the alternation of the night and day, there are people of intellect. There are signs for people of intellect. So when I look at, for example, my watch, and my watch is designed, and I see this, and I conclude for that there is a designer, and I use the same analogy, actually, and which no problem.
God.
But that's not a
How
problem.
can you equate the two?
I'm not equating the two. I'm using logic to deduce that a creator exists. Because one of the reasons I came to Islam and believed in God is because I said, I look around me, I have to be an absolute ignorant, arrogant person to look around me, everything designed, the universe, chance.
No,
That's
no
arrogance, that's not humility.
No one said chance. This is a straw man.
Okay.
I didn't say chance.
Okay, where did it come
Scientists, they don't know for sure. They didn't say it's all
why
accident by chance.
why can't it be God? Why
No,
everything?
actually,
Why does
the burden
Richard
of
Dawkins
proof
say
is on you.
aliens?
The burden
No,
of
it's
proof is
not.
on
It's
you.
on you.
Scientists are not
And
even
even if
saying
it's on me,
there
I'll
is
prove
no-
it.
The scientists aren't even saying
Why
there
does
is no
Richard
God.
Dawkins say aliens? Because maybe aliens created us. Why not
He said
God?
He said maybe.
No, I don't care. The point is this. Why didn't he say maybe God? Why maybe aliens?
Richard Dawkins himself, he's not 100% atheist. He said this himself.
I don't care. The point is
said
this. Why aliens but not God? Okay, can it be a chance that it's God?
Do you know Richard Dawkins uses the example of a cliff? He was walking by a cliffside once in one of his documentaries, and he said, look, I maybe would be able to, and the probability is not going to be determined, be able to just walk up this cliff right now, contrary to gravity and the conditions of the cliffside as it reacts against my body. He said, we have to entertain even the most remotest possibilities in science, that it's possible to do that. Okay. Having said that, for the sake of scientific investigation, we can conclude that it's infinitesimally it's bordering on impossible.
What?
That I could just walk up a cliff right now. So even Richard Dawkins said
operationally impossible.
Even Richard Dawkins uses this as an analogy for God. Yes, there might be a God, but it's so infinitesimally unlikely.
That is
there's so little
that
evidence.
Is mad.
There's
mad.
no scientific evidence for it.
Okay, everything is possible, but God, no way. That is
the point
crazy.
Is, we have to be skeptical.
That is mad.
We can't be too
I'll tell it to your
skeptical.
face, man. That is crazy. Everything is possible. Aliens, maybe. Matrix, could be. Am I here? I don't know. Everything, God.
This is the stuff of philosophy.
No,
this is worth debating.
That's crazy, man. I'll tell you. That to me is
You're
crazy.
The one making the claim.
And that's
you need
the
to back
reason
it up,
why
and you haven't been able to.
We're going to let the viewers decide. We're going to let the viewers decide. You cannot look. The argument.
To a creator of the whole universe.
Look. You can't even answer it.
You're making a jump from a tiny
painter. You can't even answer it.
Painting a picture of a bird. You're jumping from that to supposedly a creation of a whole universe.
Tiny painter.
And I'm sure even the Quran it's against this analogy.
It's not. I'll tell you.
This analogy is blasphemous.
It's not. Actually, God Almighty talks about the creation to reflect upon it. It doesn't actually. So don't say things that you may not be aware of. Yeah. Small painting.
Sounds like it to me. I'm just telling you.
No, but I'm telling you as a Muslim, there's no such thing as comparing the creation and looking at it and deducing from that God exists. Small painting, all the attributes: created, exists, will, consciousness, knowledge. Look, small painting. The whole universe. The whole universe, guys. Look. Small painting. We will ascribe it all to a human being. He has to be intelligent. He has to have a will. He has to have skills. He's a painter.
But it's a human being, not God.
Check this out. Do you not understand?
How can you jump from a human being to God?
Isn't the penny dropping? Isn't the penny dropping? A small picture, 100%.
This is even contrary to Islam.
Guys, it's not. Why do you keep saying that? I'm telling you as a Muslim, what you're saying is not true.
Just because you're Muslim doesn't mean you know everything about Islam.
No. One thing that I do know is that I can give examples in the creation. I don't know why you keep saying that. I give evidence in the Quran, Surah Nisa.
From a painter
So, brother, I'm telling you very clearly, it's not blasphemous.
Guys.
No. I'm telling you, please, I'm a Muslim. There is no such thing.
It doesn't mean you know everything about Islam.
It doesn't mean that I know the basics.
Yeah, but you're talking with authority.
You're talking with authority. Yeah, exactly.
I'm using logical argument.
No, you're not using logic. You're using illogic.
Not even the prophet would say you can use that analogy of a painter, a human being, a mere mortal, to explain the entire creation of the universe.
God says in the Quran, indeed in the creation of the heavens and the earth.
I know enough
He's a Muslim.
You're making this up yourself, man.
Yeah, exactly. There is nothing that says that. There's actually Surah Imran. Allah says, indeed in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and in the alternation of the nights and day, there are signs for those who believe. Meaning, God says,
those who believe.
Yes,
not for scientists.
Yes. You do believe. You believe in evolution, which is your God. That's the difference.
Evolution is not my God.
That is your God.
I'm going to take issue with this.
This is. You know why?
Evolution is not my God. The reason being.
Okay. What gave rise to us?
Evolution.
Okay. What gave rise to us?
Evolution is a scientific concept.
No problem.
Used to explain how species came about, how we have a huge diversity of animals, plants, life forms.
Okay, no problem.
Evolution uses explanations like natural selection, sexual selection, a mixture of competition and cooperation, adapting to the environment.
No problem.
It's a model of explanation, a theory for how we have such a variety of life forms on this planet.
Okay, so how
However,
did we come to be?
You can't describe that as a god. That's a scientific
no
concept.
problem. How did we come to be?
God is a theological concept used to try and explain why is it that there isn't anything at all. It's a different concept, right?
So how did we all come?
I wouldn't mix the two disciplines of theology and science.
How did we come to be?
Evolution is not my God.
Okay.
I don't believe in God.
Okay, 1 second.
I believe in evolution.
Okay.
Evolution is not my God.
I don't believe in God. I believe in evolution.
That's
You prove my point. I don't believe in look. I don't believe in God. I believe in evolution. That's exactly my point. What you're saying is we are all of this that's in nature.
There's good evidence to believe in evolution, but there's no evidence I've seen to believe in God.
Evolution doesn't contradict. Evolution doesn't contradict God
existing. You're saying to me a painter can create a painting, and a painter is intelligent.
No, but
therefore there is a creation.
Yes, logically, rationally, go to anybody. Go to anybody.
Therefore God must have created the world.
There's even studies show that.
From a painter, a guy painting a little picture of a bird. We're jumping from that to the creator of the entire universe.
Exactly.
And that's why I say it almost sounds like blasphemy.
It logically follows.
If you're a Muslim,
anything that happens on a macro level, it's very simple.
To equate the skill of a painter, a humble painter, human being,
you're not answering my question.
With the tremendous
you don't answer my question.
I
I even gave the example of a dependent. 1 second. I even gave the example of infinite amount of dependent things. You can't have by the way, it's a fallacy to say that you can have an infinite amount of dependent things. You require a necessary being. You haven't answered that.
Why does it require a necessary
It has to, because you cannot have.
Making the claim. You cannot.
No. Can you have an infinite
amount
amount of dependent things?
We just established.
I'm asking some question.
No, I agree with you on that.
1 second. Okay, if you can't, it requires a necessary, self-sufficient, independent being that gives rise.
To be intelligent or have a will?
Because how could it give rise to us dependent things who have conscience and will, and it doesn't have those attributes itself?
It doesn't have to have those attributes.
How does it give rise to us?
The wind blowing the vase
No, but who created the wind?
Well, no, it doesn't have to be who. That's a loaded question.
There you go.
That's a loaded question.
Where did the wind come from?
No one created the wind. The wind is a force of nature arising out of climate conditions.
Okay, and how?
It's not who created the wind.
A wind has some force.
Well,
what gave it that force?
Star, right?
No, how did it give it that force?
Well, it comes from the interaction of climate. Well, that's one. Yeah, the rotation of the planet has to do with wind.
What caused the rotation of the planet?
Well, that's to do with gravity and the way we move around the sun.
What caused the gravity?
Again, guys, just to be clear, I'm not astrophysicist.
No, you don't need to. You don't need to.
I remember some of my primary school education.
Look.
I remember some of my primary school education.
No, all you need is logic and rationality. I don't want you to be a scientist.
We can agree on that. We need logic and rationality.
Thank you.
I agree with you on that.
So
okay?
I'm
logic
saying
and rationality.
Atoms. Does atoms have conscience?
They don't have conscience.
Do they have a will?
A will depends what you mean by will.
Will. Brother,
if they have a motivating force, if that's the will, then yes. If by will you mean a conscious decision,
yes.
Look, I even struggle with the idea of free will. I'm not sure if I believe in that.
No, you're a hard determinist. You don't believe in that. I'm a compatibilist. I believe in both. What I'm trying to say
I'm more actually with you on that, to be honest.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So you can be a Muslim and believe in qadr and free will. Okay, that's it. If a atom doesn't have consciousness, how does it give rise to us conscious beings?
If an atom doesn't have consciousness, how does it give rise to
conscious beings like us? It doesn't have the properties of consciousness.
Well, again, I'm not a scientist, but as far as I know, atoms, when they came together to create elements, the elements that we have
how did they come together?
In the periodic table, those elements then, well, we talked about electrons, how different atoms, different elements have different numbers of electrons, and depending on how many electrons they have, that draws them together.
Why is it like that? Because it's composed. It's composed.
With gravity. As far as I know, it's to do with gravity.
Okay, but it's composed in that way.
I'm actually going into an area of discussion, which I'm not like I'm not a chemist or a scientist. However, I know enough to say. Yeah. I know enough to say that you're drawing too much.
Okay. We're wrapping 5 minutes. Yeah.
You're drawing too much from too little evidence.
But you didn't answer my question.
Because it's a load of questions.
No, it's not. No. You said to stop humility.
Say something.
Yeah, someone wants to join in. Maybe we can.
No. You know what? I don't want no one to join in. You know why? For all due respect, I'm so sorry. I want you to answer this question. Does an atom have consciousness? If it doesn't, how does it give rise to beings like us, which we have consciousness? And we know. No. What kind of question is that?
Gravity,
what kind of answer is that? No, 1 second.
Electrons being drawn together.
Does electrons have consciousness?
No, they don't.
No. They don't. Okay.
Not that there's no evidence that they do. Maybe they do. I'm not a scientist.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Because there's a whole situation with the scientists grappling with a hard problem of consciousness. How do we have consciousness from atoms that we are made out of that doesn't have consciousness?
Look, even psychologists, neuroscientists are trying to grapple with where human consciousness comes from. The thing is what this comes down to for me, if we're going to wrap up now, what this comes down to me is the scientific approach accepts that there are huge gaps in our knowledge.
And that's called the science of the gaps. Just admit it. Just admit it
can
and
use
say no.
any derogatory label you want.
I'm not being derogatory.
I call it basic scientific humility and
I
investigation.
call it basic science arrogance. We're not gonna. It can't be God. We don't know.
You're using disparaging terms because you don't actually have evidence.
And you know what? I think it's clear. It's very clear.
Scientists are
You
saying,
have
look,
faith. This
we
is faith.
don't-
Just say I have faith. I have faith that one day
How can you have
we'll
faith?
find out.
How can you have faith that you don't know someone?
You do. You don't know it, and you're saying we don't know, but one day we'll find out. That's faith.
You're using
That's faith.
mythology, imagery, poetry. You're taking it very literally and using it to plug up the gaps that scientists accept with great humility that they don't know.
And
Scientists
they have faith.
accept they don't know what originally came before the
But
Big
do they
Bang.
have faith they'll find out one day?
Scientists accept 100%. We're not sure right now
But they'll find
where
out
the
one day?
first life forms come from.
But do they say we'll find out one day?
They hope to.
That's faith.
They hope to.
That's faith.
It's hope, not faith. Don't
faith.
mix. You're just mixing up. You're muddying the
faith.
waters.
It's faith.
You're muddying the waters. It's just a hope. Look, when I go to work and I have a problem with my job, I have a basic hope that I can solve the problem, but I don't have faith that I can solve the problem.
Yeah, exactly. But
I hope that I can. When I'm just a barista. You ask me what I do. I just make coffee. I'm not a scientist or a theologian.
Still, it's blind hope.
Scientists have the same approach. They say, look, we're not sure where human consciousness first evolved. We don't even know for sure where language comes from, for example.
Exactly, there you go.
We're not sure what came before the Big Bang, if there was anything even before the Big Bang.
But
We're not
you've
sure.
got a lot of stuff that you're not sure of, though.
They're saying that we're not sure what the first life forms were, where they are on the planet.
There you go.
We're not, and they accept with great humility. We're going to investigate this. You say it's arrogance. I say it's humility. Let's just leave it at that.
Because why don't they say
they don't
it has
know.
to be a creator?
What they don't do is
Why is creator not in the picture?
what they don't do is they don't get books written before the Enlightenment, books that are steeped in mythology, paganism,
I'm not even talking about Islam
and religion
now. I'm
and
talking about
imagery
logic and
poetry.
rationality.
Whether it's
I'm
Islam,
not talking about Islam.
Christianity, Buddhism, they don't take old poetry and imagery and try and use it to plug up the gaps.
I never done
They
that. I
can
use
explain-
rationality and logic. I never talked about Islam. I talked
I
Quran
shook
verse.
your hand on this. I know we're both trying to use rationality.
I know, but that's what I did.
I accept that
But
about
why
you.
don't we ever say
What I'm
maybe
saying is
it's
you
God?
haven't proven to me, my friend.
I think the views can decide.
One thing
I think the views can decide. The
Should
fact
we
that
leave it there then? That's a good way to end it.
they're 100%. The viewers have to decide because
The
it's
viewers
very clear.
decide. I like that.
There's questions.
Democracy.
There's questions that you didn't answer, but we'll let the people decide. But yeah, like, thank you very much for your
Ali,
time.
man, I actually really
appreciate
enjoyed that. I didn't
No,
want to get
same,
so
same.
confrontational,
No,
but I
it's
really
all right.
enjoyed
It
it.
happens. Listen, debate, discussion. I don't mean anything
We
bad
feel
by it.
passionate about this
This is
stuff.
the passionate.
Thank you, man. Come here, I want a hug.
Thank you. Thank you. But this is the-
You guys have a nice day. Yeah, have a nice evening.
Thank you
Have a
very
nice
much.
Christmas. Yeah.
I think, have you got all the mics
It was a
on?
nice discussion, man.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't too boring because it was very calm and
No, it
peaceful.
was, it was.
You wanted something a bit more.
No. I prefer- Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.